Hey guys and gals, it's Brank here again, playing some more Black Desert Online. Bringing you a guide on the marketplace and how to use the marketplace, basic searches, and why some tips that I've used on helping maybe find some good deals on the marketplace, or just how to use the marketplace in general. So if you're interested in knowing how notification works or the sorting options or even the special deals on the marketplace, go ahead and watch this. All right, so the marketplace is a pretty simple system as far as this game goes, but it is different than most other games out there. A lot of games that have auction houses and stuff, it's mostly freeform, and the developers kind of leave it up to the market to kind of correct itself and to work with the players, and players are able to buy up items and sell items at a lot higher prices and kind of control markets. This game does it a little bit differently. Their system is more controlled by the game developers and the game itself by setting pricing, or at least the kind of the outlying pricing of some of the items that you're buying, or all of the items that you're going to be buying on the marketplace. So it kind of keeps the economy in check rather than letting it kind of run rampant and somebody buying up, all the widgets and then selling, widgets at 5 million gold or whatever the game currency is, and people having to buy those widgets by for 5 million gold. That guy basically cornered the market on the widgets. So this game makes it a little bit easier and a little bit more forgiving for most players, and the economy, I think, works pretty well. That's my opinion. But from what I've seen so far, it keeps the game a little bit more honest. It keeps the players a little bit more honest rather than having somebody in there kind of controlling everything. So let's get into it. Basically, what you want to do is go up to any of the marketplace directors that are in the towns and go ahead and interact with them, and then open the marketplace window with the button down here on that marketplace director. And this is the pane that comes up. So what I want to do is go ahead and highlight a few things here. What we have up at the top is your tabs. And the tabs are what determines what's going to show up in the item window down here. And these tabs are divided into different sections of, you've got ore, plants, seeds, hides, fish, main weapons, offhand weapons, armor, so on and so forth. It's got all your tabs up here. So to find an item, you have to go to that specific tab. So the only problem that I have with this system right now, there's no way to search, or at least I don't know of a way to search everything at one time. In other words, these tabs, you have to be in the right tab to run a search for that item. So if I was to try to look in general goods for, say, cotton, I'll go ahead and do a demonstration of cotton, nothing comes up. Well, it's because it's considered a plant, right? So I'd go under plants and type cotton. Oh, there we go. I've got cotton yarn, cotton fabric, and just regular old cotton. So you have to know what tab you should be looking for your item under. So we had a question in one of my other videos from Topkek. Thanks for the question about how to find out what items a particular class can use. So the easiest way is to actually look on the marketplace, because all of those items actually that are in the game are listed on the marketplace. So you would go to, let's say we were looking for a main hand weapon. I would go to main hand weapon, and then on the left side of the window I have the filter pane, which is where I would select maybe Berserker or Sorceress. I believe that's the one he said he was playing. So you'd filter it by Sorceress, and then in the item pane you would have all of the Sorceress main hand weapons that you could obtain or buy on the marketplace. As you scroll through these items, like if you're looking for a Uriah amulet, you could filter those down again, or search that filter that you already have on them by typing a search under that, which still has my filter applied. So now I'm only looking at Sorceress items under the main weapons tab that have the word Uriah in them. Right? So I would have now all of the Uriah weapons that I could possibly get for my Sorceress. keep in mind all the items, if you add the stones to them, they go up like plus 15 and stuff like that. So the other thing to keep in mind here is it also has these grayed out items down at the bottom. What those are items that have sold already on the auction house that are currently not for sale. There is none for sale. So you could look at them, but you wouldn't be able to purchase any of them because there is none on the auction house right now. But you'd get an idea of what they're selling for, kind of the price. Like if I wanted to get a +9 Uriah amulet, it's about 2 to 3 million. That's what this tells us right here. So that's the other part of this window. Let's go into the data that we're actually getting from these items and kind of just take a quick look at what that means. So if you look at any of the items, it has these numbers here, which at first can be a little bit hard to understand or not really self-explanatory. There is a legend down at the bottom that tries to make a little bit of sense of it, but what this tells us, the first piece of data that we see here is the lowest price that this item could be auctioned for, is like for this example, the Uriah amulet, 232,027 silver. If I were to go into that window, if I clicked on the item here, I would see there's the item for 232,000 or 232,027, and I could buy that item from here. It also has the upper end range, which was 278,000, which isn't this highest number, right? This is not the price that it's selling for. This is the lowest price that it could sell for. So keep in mind, these are not static numbers, but they are as far as when you're looking at the item on this pane. This set of data, the next piece of data that we see on this information for the item, is actually what tells us the most recent trade price. So that was what somebody at some point had just bought it for, or who knows when they bought it for, which was on this item 268,000. So the lowest price item that I could buy this for right now is actually a little bit cheaper than what somebody else just bought it for. This other piece of data just above it tells us what the current price is. Now, what the current price actually means to us is that's the medium between the lowest and the highest price for this item. It's telling us that's what the developers, or that's what the market, the developers put in as far as an algorithm to determine what the item sells at, the low end to the high end, and that stays constant, right? The current price will change as the market fluctuates. In other words, the more people that try to buy those items, that might, and those items aren't available, the supply and demand, that current price could go up, which then takes your lowest and highest price and shifts those up as well. A little bit hard to understand, but basically when you're looking at the item, it should be pretty much set in stone. It doesn't change that often. The last piece of data that we see on here is the accumulated trades, which means how many times that item, that type of item, has sold since the server basically began. And the second piece underneath that is how many items are currently registered on the marketplace of that item. So I think in one of my other videos I talked about, that's usually what I look at to determine a high turnover item, which is a good item to sell. If the ratio between your accumulated trades and the ratio between the registered trades is low, you have a fairly high turnover item, right? Because that means there's a lot of items that have sold and there's not that many on the marketplace. That's why I like selling, like when I'm doing cooking, I like selling pet food and beehive cookies, because they have a fairly high turnover rate. They sell pretty quickly and most often for the maximum price. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what these the data that you see on these items is. If you actually click on the item and go into purchasing the item, you'll notice that there's a list of items on there, right, that have different prices, or they could have the same price. You have to buy the lowest priced item first. You can't skip ahead and buy the fourth down item if it's a higher price. If it's the same price, you can, but if it's a higher price, you cannot do that. The market forces you to buy the lowest price item first before you buy the higher price item. So you would just hit purchase on the item, type in the security code. It's basically a CAPTCHA code that so it's not a bot buying these items, and that's it. You own the item at that point. The other things that you want to look at on here is let's say I wanted to find a specific item for my sorceress. I want to find a plus. Let's see what's not available. Actually, let's scroll down the list. Let's say I want a ultimate Uriah amulet plus 15. I don't know why I'd want that, but that's, let's say I wanted that item. It's not here. It's not on the marketplace right now. What I can do is click on the item, right? There's nothing for sale right now. I see what it has sold for in the past, 23 million. The market price is 19 million. So I know I'm probably going to end up paying, depending on what somebody puts it up for, about 22 million, somewhere around there. I can click this button that says notice. And what the notification button does is it puts it in this button down here under notifications. And what that means is when somebody places that item on the auction house, if you are in the game at the time, it will send you, I think the default is the bottom left corner, depending on how you have your UI set up, a notification that that item is up on the auction house or going to be up on the auction house. What I've noticed, my experience with this is if I'm looking for a particular item or a few particular items, a few things, when that notification pops up, you have about 5 minutes before it actually shows up on the auction house. And what I will generally do is come to this window where nothing is right now and either hit the refresh button, basically like you're watching a web page, you're hitting the refresh button waiting for that item to come up, or just wait here for it to come up. It actually does refresh automatically. It just doesn't tell you it is. And this item will pop up here. You could try to scoop it up really quick. There have been some items that have been really hard to buy. Obviously an item like this that's only sold 36 since the server began, probably going to be pretty hard to get your hands on. So putting a notification on it doesn't hurt. And it lets you know when somebody puts that item on the auction house. So it's a good tool to use if you're looking for something really specific for your characters. And you could do that with anything on the auction house. I do it sometimes with meat. If I go to the general tab and I type in maybe pork is a good one. Usually isn't available, but I could put a notification on it. And then when I click on the notifications button down here at the bottom, it's going to show that Uriah amulet and the pork. Now, it could get annoying if you have a bunch of marketplace notices with all this stuff popping up. If there's a lot of meat, if it's a really high turnover item, you don't want to get all those. So all you do is you come into here into notifications and you hit delete on the items that you don't care about anymore. You don't want to get notified on. That's all you do. It's pretty easy system, but it does help out quite a bit. One last thing we'll go over in the main data window, or in the main window here, is the data that you get on these items can be sorted with these buttons, either ascending or descending, depending on how you wanted to look at them. And we'll look at those really briefly, and the last one is actually, to me, the most important. Alphabetically, I don't really care. I guess if you were searching for something alphabetically, it might help, but you always have the option to just type in, a search. So I don't really see why alphabetically is really going to help that much in most instances. Some instances it might. Sorting by recent price, also really not that helpful, because depending on the tab that you're looking at, like the general tab, I mean, there's just too much stuff in here for that sort method to be useful. So that to sort by that is not going to help you too much. Sorting by item quantity, again, not super helpful. The only thing that really tells us is what's on the auction house right now. Like what items, like chicken meat, for instance, is really not a very good seller. There's been 217,000 sold since the server began, and there's 96,000 up there right now. So that doesn't help us a whole lot. Sorting by exchange price, again, almost the same as the recent price, really doesn't help that much. Some instances and on some tabs it could. The last sort that we have here is actually my favorite, and it does help a little bit because what it tells me when I go to maybe the general tab or the cooking tab and I click on sort by registration, by recent registration, what happens is you'll notice stuff pops up here all the time. And what that means is somebody just put something on here on the auction house. So that clear liquid of reagent just came up on the auction house, or one of them just came up on the auction house. There popped up an ancient relic crystal shard, just popped up on the auction house. What this tells me as you're watching this stuff kind of roll by is what items are hot, what items sell frequently, what items people place up on the auction house frequently. And, if you're looking to scoop something up, instead of just watching the notifications, watching this page, kind of scroll by, kind of tells you what is selling pretty well right now. So that one is somewhat useful. So those are the sortings the ways that we have to sort the data on here. So the other thing is we'll go over really quickly on how to place an item on the marketplace. All you do is go to the My Registered button down here at the bottom, and you'll see your current registration of items, if you have any. And you can scroll through that list, and you can see if there's some that you need to collect money on. Like I've got 3 or 4 here that I need to collect some money for some beer that I had posted up here. I'm not going to do that right now. But what you would do is, if you don't have anything on there and you want to put some items on there, you click the button that says Register Item, and you would right-click on the item that you want to put up there. Let's say I want to just put a cookie up on the auction house. I'll put that cookie up on the auction house. Now, when you right-click and you put that quantity in there, this is what we want to take a look at. These numbers here are somewhat important, and you need to understand a little bit of how this works. What it's going to do, the unit price that it's going to default to, it's going to put the default recent price. So the recent price of this item, what somebody just sold it for, and actually it's the lowest register price is what it puts it in for, which sometimes coincide, but it does actually it does put it in for the lowest registered price, because the recent price might actually be more. But the reason that it does this, it puts it in the lowest registered price so that your item is basically next in line to sell. So if I don't have to do that. I can always hit here max, which puts it at the maximum possible price I can sell it for, or I could put it at the minimum possible price if I wanted to, which is actually not that much lower. Well, no, it's about 4,000. It's a little bit lower, 3,000 something, that I could sell it for. Now, keep in mind, that's kind of important, because what you want to look at is you usually want to go for, I usually go for what it's telling me or a little bit more, because if the person who put their items up here for 16,000 only put up 1 or 2, that means I could probably get away with charging a little bit more, because his stuff's going to sell out, then my stuff is going to be next in line to sell out. So look at the things on here, which is registration count. How many are registered right now? 183 is not a lot of items registered, but there's only been 4,569 sold. So that's a pretty high percentage of those cookies that are on here. So yeah, I probably would want to go towards the registered price, or like I said, a little bit higher. So these are important numbers to keep in mind. The other thing is, like I mentioned at the beginning, the game sets it up so that you cannot sell this item for more than the set price, right? That current price difference. So if I tried to say, oh, I'm going to sell it for 22 million, like as we've all probably seen in other MMOs or other games where people have auction houses, some guy will put up a tiny, bear skin or whatever for 5 million, just kind of joking around, and somebody comes along and buys that thing up for 5 million on accident. This will not let you put that item up there for that price, and it won't let that person buy that item for that price, because that item wouldn't ever be up there for that price. So it's kind of a good thing. I think in the long run, it stops people from making, kind of stupid mistakes. But yeah, that's pretty much how the selling window. So all you would do at that point, once you have your item up there on the auction house, either for the minimum price, the maximum price, or the lowest registered price, is register that item. That's all that it takes. Now, when you go to the My Registered Items, hopefully your stuff sells, and you can sit there and collect your money off of those items. That's how to sell stuff. So the last thing that we're going to go over is the special deals. Now, this was introduced a few patches ago, and I can't remember exactly when it was added, but it was added a few patches ago. What the special deals items are, and there's a little bit confusing, and I didn't understand what they were at first. I had to read up a little bit on these. What these are, they're items that a party, a group of people decided to sell as a group, rather than one person taking the item and then the next guy maybe gets another item, then the next guy gets another item. Because sometimes when you're in a party, only one item ends up dropping, right? So how do you just split one item between 3 people? Special items. That's how or special deals. That's how it splits one item with multiple people. So what happens is they decide, oh, that item is just going to go up on the auction house and sell for whatever it sells for, and the money gets split and dispersed to those people that were in that party evenly, right? So if there's 3 people, it gets split 3 ways. So what this means is these items that get put on here, they sit up here until they sell. What I've noticed, because I will sometimes try to get fail stacks, which is a whole nother tutorial we'll probably have to cover at some point. But basically like buying rings, earrings, belts to get your fail stacks up, mostly rings. Sometimes you can find them cheaper in the special deals section than you can in the accessories section. So if I were to look, for instance, to see if this holds true right now, the Talus ring I can buy, there's only one on here, and it's 56,000 in, oh, no. Oh, yeah, they're 55. Somebody just put another one up, 55,000. If I were to look under the normal accessories tab, which is where you would normally find a Talus ring. Where is it? Let's see. Talus belt. Talus ring. The current price is 60,000. So I'd save 4, 5, 6,000. I've actually seen them for about half the price of that too on the special deals. It just depends on how long they sit up there, how long nobody's buying them. So the best time to actually look at these special deals is usually in the morning or, well, I know we have people playing from all over the world, but for me, it's usually better in the morning. Sometimes late at night, you'll find better deals than obviously in the middle of prime time because everybody's looking at that stuff. But the special deals is kind of a good way to pick up those items. Now, keep in mind, these items are all dropped items, i.e. those parties were getting those drops, right? So you're not going to find crafted stuff. You're not going to find alchemy, cooking, any of that stuff. It's going to be dropped items. Anything that's dropped off of mobs has the potential to show up in here. So yeah, any of the stones, forbidden books, any of the staffs, weapons, any of that kind of stuff, armor, all shows up in here. So if you're looking for something, I would highly recommend checking this first. One huge note on this, keep in mind, when you hit this purchase button on the special deals, there is no CAPTCHA confirmation. It immediately buys the item. So don't click it thinking, oh, well, I'll be able to look at it and make sure that I want it and hit that, 2-digit code in. Nope, it's going to buy it immediately. The minute you hit that purchase button, it buys it. So it does work a little bit different than the rest of the auction house. So just, watch out. Don't accidentally buy the wrong thing or something you didn't actually want by hitting that purchase button. It will buy it immediately. So that's pretty much it. That's how the marketplace works in a nutshell. Hopefully I explained that a little bit easy for you guys to understand, because I know it's a little bit confusing at first and what all these numbers actually mean. And as always, if you guys have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments below. I'm more than happy to help out. And there's, like I've always said, I'm not the best player in this game. I'm still learning a lot of stuff. There is so much in this game. It's amazing that, by you guys posting some comments and suggestions, we can, hopefully get a little bit more information that, maybe we didn't know before. So yeah, there's been lots of people that have posted comments in a lot of my other videos talking about, things that helped out with, fishing or whatever, that, just by you guys commenting and helping out, that helps all of us out, right? So comment on any of this stuff. Let us know what you think. And if you like us, go ahead and subscribe if you guys think this information is, good and helpful. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of these videos. As always, have a good one, guys. I'll talk to you later.